They met in law school at NYU. They were kind of polar opposites. My mom was a wild child compared to my dad. He's very straight-laced, from Fremont, Nebraska. The first time my dad brought her to meet his parents, she was wearing some tight little leather mini skirt, and she had like bleach blonde, short, spiky hair. My dad's family loved her immediately, but the fact that she was bold enough to wear something like that to Fremont, Nebraska is pretty impressive. I think she probably doesn't get enough credit because she was, the right-hand man to my dad the whole time throughout his career and obviously personal life. But she was always behind the scenes. She was the one who was throwing those parties at our house and keeping my dad's mind on track and helping him work through things all the time. She was kind of his advisor, I'd say. And I think she really got connected to the University of Nebraska.
When I think of JB and Nana, I think about the energy that they brought to the university. It was fun to be with Nana and JB and be at the Board of Regents dinners. It was fun to be at events they hosted. It was fun to just be where they were.
I love JB and Nana. They're fabulous. They're super fun as a couple. We've had some excursions. The trip to Minneapolis for Bennett's birthday. Yeah, they're an amazing team, both of them together.
When you think about the couple that's being honored tonight, you think smart, articulate, passionate, energetic, personal, charming, and of course then there's JB.
This is a great day for the University of Nebraska.
So JB's probably one of the most brilliant university presidents I've ever known. A natural visionary. If you look at building a healthier Nebraska and the thinking behind that and the vision behind that, if you look at the priorities that existed in the campaign for Nebraska, thematically that campaign was framed about as good as any campaign in public higher education. JB just had a knack for thinking about ways that the University of Nebraska could excel and be excellent.
Governor, thank you for your remarks. I told him that he left a page of his speech on my chair. It is about the new state commitment to early childhood.
JB honestly gets a lot of the credit for the Buffett Early Childhood Institute and also for forcing me to put my name on it. I remember that conversation. And getting lots of money from me. He's always been very good at that. Oh, what makes him good at it? He's very convincing. He can kind of talk you into anything. I mean, who can say no to JB?
I have watched JB set priorities for the university, and I have watched him raise funds to support those priorities. A good example is what became the Doherty Global Water for Food Institute. The ask was done in Bob Doherty's kitchen a few months before he passed away, and JB, of course, came armed with a stack of slides. He was barely 10 minutes into his presentation when Bob waved his hand and said, "Sounds good, let's do it." And that was a $50 million gift. So not a bad hourly rate for a good fundraiser.
And I think of the many, many hours gone into meetings with a variety of people to mobilize a variety of groups to the strategy and the vision so that we were all pulling in the same direction. I've always felt that JB clearly understands the role of post-secondary education in society, and part of that is bringing people together to a strategy and a vision that fulfills that role and that obligation.
It is the obligation of good leaders to leave their place of work in much better shape than they found it. Nana and JB definitely did that to the University of Nebraska, and for that, we're grateful.
Yeah, I think when I first heard that my dad had cancer, I knew something was up because I got a text that was like, hey, can we call you later? And my parents aren't usually that formal, so I knew something was up. They called me on speakerphone, and it was as cheerful as a call about getting diagnosed with cancer can be. They were very positive, and he kind of stepped away from his job for a while, and I think that is like the first time in 30 years that he had not had something to do professionally every day, all day. So he they had time to spend together. I think she spent more time in the hospital than he did. She was talking to doctors all the time. Every time I called her, she was at the hospital bugging someone for some information. So she was great for him during that time, and I mean, he obviously couldn't have done it without her. And now he seems like a different person. Last time I saw him, he's not gonna like this, but he had like a nice white beard and he was leather skin tan because he spent the whole summer in North Carolina. He was wearing a big silver chain. I couldn't say what changed, but his magnetic personality is somehow more magnetic, I'd say. Well, I think there was a really great photo the other day actually when my dad was getting the job at the University of Texas system, and he was giving a speech, and then right next to him was my mom looking over his shoulder, just like grinning, staring at him. She could tell that she admired him greatly, and she's really proud of him. And I think that's kind of their relationship. She's really impressed by him, but then he's really impressed by her, and he couldn't do anything he does without her, and I think he does give her that credit, but it's quite a partnership.